There's just something special about old isometric games. The style, the world, the way they play, they really stand out. Today, we're looking at some of the best must-play old isometric games that still hold up. Whether you played them years ago or you're hearing about them for the first time, these games deserve a spot on your list. Let's check them out. Icewind Dale, 2000. If you were into classic PC RPGs back then, this one was like comfort food. It used the same engine as Baldur's Gate, so it had that old school isometric D&D vibe, but it wasn't trying to be all deep and political. This one was more about just building a party and diving into dungeon crawling and tactical combat. The game throws you into the frozen land of the spine of the world, which is cold, brutal, and filled with monsters that want you dead. It's all set in the Forgotten Realms universe, so D&D fans already felt right at home, but instead of spending hours on political drama or long-winded debates, Icewind Dale keeps things moving. You roll your party, load up your gear, and hit the road. What made it cool is how combat-focused it was. You didn't have to worry so much about making choices and combos. It was more about building a team that could survive the next brutal encounter. You could create all 6 characters yourself too, which was a big deal for players who liked full control. Want to run 6 dwarves with axes? Go for it. And the atmosphere still holds up. The music is really underrated, kind of haunting, kind of peaceful, depending on where you are. And the art, yeah, it's dated by today's standards, but those hand-painted backgrounds still look beautiful in that old school way. There's something about that isometric snow-covered town with a soft soundtrack playing. It just hits different. It also had challenging fights, especially if you didn't prep your spells or didn't know how to use positioning. You couldn't just charge in and hope for the best. You had to think, pause, plan, and adapt. That's what made the game fun, if you were into that kind of strategic stuff. Planescape Torment, 1999.
I haven't had this much fun.
Still one of the most unique and mind-bending RPGs ever made. It's isometric, yeah, but don't go in expecting just dungeon crawling and monster smashing. This game is all about the story, the writing, and asking weird, deep questions like, what can change the nature of a man? You play as the Nameless One, a dude who can't die, literally. Every time he dies, he wakes up again, but with no memory of who he is or what he's done before. So the game is basically you wandering around this strange, dark world of Sigil, a city connected to all dimensions, trying to figure out your past and who the hell you really are. Now, here's the thing. Combat is not the main focus here. You can fight, but the real magic is in the dialogue. Almost everything is text-heavy, but in a good way. The writing is smart, thoughtful, sometimes funny, sometimes sad. Every companion you meet has layers. You've got a floating skull named Mort who cracks jokes, a burning warrior monk named Ignis, and a chaste succubus named Baldur Grace who runs a brothel for intellectual conversation. This game is weird in the best way. The choices you make actually matter, and not in the usual good versus evil way. It's more about philosophy, intent, and how you treat people. There are quests where you can solve stuff by talking, by thinking, by understanding. You can talk your way out of big fights, or even convince enemies to stop being enemies. Yeah, the combat is clunky, and it hasn't aged great in that department, but that's not the point. If you're playing Planescape Torment, you're playing it for the story, the dialogue, the writing, and the emotional weight. It hits on a whole different level than most RPGs.
This much fun since the last time.
Neverwinter Nights, 2002. Neverwinter Nights came out in 2002, and man, this one was huge for PC RPG fans back then. Not just because it was another D&D game, but because it gave people something they'd never really had before at that scale. A full RPG with a built-in toolset where you could literally make your own campaigns and worlds. That was wild for the time. Though here's the deal, you're tossed into the city of Neverwinter during a plague outbreak. Classic D&D setup. The main campaign's alright, nothing crazy deep, but it does the job. It's more of a long adventure to get you used to how the game works. You create your character from scratch using 3rd edition D&D rules, fighter, wizard, rogue, cleric, you name it. You build out your stats, pick your skills, all that good stuff. The game itself is isometric 3D, kind of a shift from the sprite-based style of Baldur's Gate. It had full camera rotation, zoom in and out, which felt modern at the time, even though it looks dated now. Combat is real-time with pause, and it sticks close to tabletop mechanics. So yeah, sometimes a goblin just misses you 5 times in a row because of dice rolls. That's just how it goes. But where Neverwinter Nights really shines isn't just the base game, it's the Aurora toolset. This thing let players build their own stories, dungeons, towns, quests, whatever. You could literally design your own mini RPG and share it online. Some of the fan-made modules people created ended up being better than the official campaign. That's no joke. This game basically became a platform for community-created content before modding tools were a common thing. Visually, sure, it's dated now, but it had charm. The environments were clean, spell effects popped nicely, and character animations got the job done. Nothing flashy, but it worked. And the music? Classic fantasy vibes. Simple, but it helped set the tone. So yeah, Neverwinter Nights might not hit as hard today if you just played the base campaign, but if you dive into the mods, the toolset, the custom stuff people made, it's still a goldmine of cool old school RPG content. Back in 2002, it gave people a way to create, share, and play D&D stories like never before. That's why it's gotta be on any must-play list for isometric RPG fans.
If you do not, then I fear any victory by the Lord's alliance.
Arcanum of Steamworks and Magick Obscura, 2001. Now this one's got a weird name, yeah, but once you get past that, it's one of the most creative and wild RPGs ever made. This thing blends magic and technology in a way that still feels fresh even now. Like, you've got elves and orcs wearing top hats, steam-powered prosthetic arms, and spells that stop your train from running. It's that kind of vibe. The world is what really pulls you in. It's not just fantasy or just steampunk, it's both, fighting each other. Magic messes with machines, machines mess with magic, and your character's path pushes that balance one way or the other. Go full wizard, you might short-circuit an elevator. Go full inventor, spells might just fail around you. It's not just flavor, it changes how the game plays, and that's super rare. And man, the freedom in this game is next level. You can build whatever kind of character you want. Want to be a charming half-ogre who talks his way through everything? Sure. A gnome engineer with a rifle and a robot buddy? Everything is doable. You can just go for it. The game doesn't box you in. It actually pushes you to get weird and experiment. Quests, almost everyone has multiple solutions, and not just good or bad, more like talk your way out, blow it up, invent a gadget to bypass it, sneak around, bribe someone, or screw it up completely and live with the mess. You can ruin relationships, miss out on whole storylines, or unlock hidden ones just based on how you roleplay. It reacts to your choices more than most modern RPGs even try to. Combat is probably the weakest part. You can switch between real-time and turn-based, but it's a little clunky either way. It's serviceable, but it's not the reason people still talk about this game. If you're into RPGs that give you total freedom, and you don't mind something a little old and janky, this one's a must. Arcanum takes big swings with its world, its systems, and its role-playing depth. It doesn't hold your hand, it lets you screw up, get lost, and figure things out your way, and that's exactly why it still stands out. Definitely one of the must-play old isometric games out there. Divinity, 2002. Don't let that kind of cheesy name fool you. This game's actually a huge sleeper hit from back in the day. It dropped in 2002, and yeah, it had some jank here and there, but if you gave it a chance, you'd find one of the most fun and flexible old-school isometric RPGs out there. At first glance, it might look like it's trying to be Diablo with all the top-down clicking and action-heavy combat, but once you start playing, you realize it's got a whole RPG brain underneath. This isn't just loot and grind, it's got real dialogue, story choices, NPCs with actual personality, and a world that feels handcrafted. You start as a total nobody, no chosen one stuff right away, just some poor soul who wakes up in a village after getting nearly killed. From there, you build your character how you want. Warrior, mage, rogue, sure. But the real fun is in mixing things up. The game doesn't force you into strict classes. You can pick skills from any tree. Wanna swing a sword and throw fireballs? Go for it. Be a sneaky archer who can heal? Do it. It's super open. The world of Rivellon is also packed with cool little details. Every house, dungeon, and town feels like it was actually built by someone, not just copy-pasted. You can break into houses, steal stuff, read random books, find hidden secrets in the most unexpected places. The game's got this old-school charm where exploration actually pays off. Combat is simple but satisfying, real-time, lots of spells, lots of gear, and it keeps you moving. It's not super tactical like Baldur's Gate, but it doesn't need to be. It's more about having fun and experimenting with builds. So yeah, Divine Divinity might not be as famous as some of the other isometric RPGs from that era, but it definitely deserves a spot on any must-play list. It's flexible, it's charming, it gives you freedom, and it's just fun as hell if you're down for some old-school adventuring. Larian Studios started here, and if you liked Baldur's Gate 3, it's kinda wild to go back and see where it all began. Divinity Original Sin 2014. This is the game that really put Larian Studios on the map in a big way. It came out in 2014 and kind of revived the isometric RPG genre when a lot of people had kind of moved on from it. It's old school in style, but it plays like something super fresh and creative even today. Right away, what makes this game stand out is how much freedom it gives you. You're not locked into doing things one way. You can fight, sneak, steal, talk, blow things up, charm people, teleport them into lava. Seriously, the game lets you get real weird with it. The whole world is like a giant sandbox for you to mess with. You start with 2 characters, source hunters, and you can customize them however you want. Magic, swords, bows, sneaky stuff, support spells, all open, and you control both of them in combat and dialogue, which leads to some pretty fun moments. Like, you can literally have your 2 characters argue with each other if you want, especially in co-op.
What do you think you're...
Combat is turn-based, super tactical, and all about using the environment. Water puts out fire, oil spreads and then explodes, poison clouds can be lit up or cleared. It's not just about hitting enemies, it's about playing with the battlefield. You can win a tough fight just by being clever with a rain spell or teleporting someone to the other side of a wall. The writing and story are fun too. It doesn't take itself too seriously, especially early on. There's humor, weird characters, and side quests that go in some wild directions, but it also builds into a bigger, more serious story as you go, and the world of Riverlawn feels alive. Tons of secrets, hidden stashes, and random little side convos that can lead to whole quests. Also, worth mentioning, the game has some actual role-playing in it. Stats like charisma and intelligence matter in dialogue. You can use skills like persuasion or intimidation to affect how people treat you, and you can pretty much kill anyone you want, which is hilarious but also can totally backfire. Desperados, Wanted, Dead or Alive 2001. You control a squad of 6 characters, each with their own special skills, like John Cooper, the main guy who throws knives and sneaks around like a pro. Then you've got a sniper, a trap guy, a doctor, a gambler, even a lady who can distract enemies. Every mission is like a big puzzle, and it's all about figuring out how to use your team just right. The game's real-time tactics, but not in a stressful way. You pause the action to plan, or use the spyglass view to check enemy vision cones and time your moves. There's no rushing. You creep around, hide in bushes, throw coins to distract guards, set traps, all that sneaky stuff. And when a plan comes together perfectly, feels awesome. The levels are designed super smart. You're sneaking through old towns, train stations, desert swamps. Each map is packed with detail and has multiple ways to solve it. And the challenge? Yeah, it's real. Enemies are tough and one slip up can get you caught quick, but it never feels unfair, just makes you think harder. Also, the personality in this game is great. The characters actually talk to each other during missions, crack jokes, give each other a hard time. It gives the whole thing some charm instead of just feeling like a dry tactics sim. So yeah, Desperados Wanted Dead or Alive is one of those games that takes a clear idea, tactical stealth in the Wild West, and just nails it. If you're into games where strategy, timing, and planning matter more than just running in guns blazing, this is a must play. Even now, it still holds up way better than you'd think. Silent Storm 2003. At the start, the game feels pretty grounded. You build a team of soldiers, sniper, medic, engineer, scout, whatever fits your playstyle, and you take them into missions behind enemy lines. Could be sabotaging a facility, rescuing hostages, stealing documents. And everything's turn-based. You move in action points. Every shot and step matters, and positioning is everything. What makes it special is how deep the systems are. You've got fully destructible environments, which wasn't common back then. You can blow a hole through a wall instead of going through the door, snipe someone through a window, drop a grenade through the floorboards. That kind of freedom in tactics makes every mission feel like your own little war movie. The combat feels super tight too. Every bullet counts. You aim at specific body parts, you manage inventory, armor, and weapon attachments. You think ahead like 5 turns, especially on harder missions. And when something goes wrong, it goes really wrong, which honestly makes the wins feel even better. Here's the curveball. As the game goes on, it gets kind of sci-fi, not full aliens or anything, but you start running into these weird futuristic Nazi tech weapons and armored exosuits. It sounds crazy, but somehow it works. You're like, wait, what the hell is this? But then you start using that gear too, and it completely changes how fights go. Also worth noting, the physics engine is way ahead of its time. Grenades bounce realistically, structures collapse if you take out supports, bullets can pass through objects depending on material. It adds this whole extra layer of strategy, like not just where you shoot, but what you shoot through. Tyranny, 2016. Now this one's a little different from your usual isometric RPG. Instead of the whole you're the chosen hero out to save the world thing, this flips it completely. In Tyranny, the bad guys already won. Like, the world's already been conquered by an evil overlord named Kairos, and you're working for them. You're not here to stop evil, you are part of the machine. You play as a fate binder, which is basically a judge, jury, and sometimes executioner. Your job is to enforce Kyros' law across a messed up world full of infighting factions, broken people, and weird magical rules. It's a brutal setup, but what makes it interesting is how every choice matters. And we're not talking simple good or bad choices, we're talking messy, gray decisions where someone's always losing, and you have to decide who. The game throws big choices at you right from the beginning. Even before the game starts, you go through a prologue where you pick how the world was conquered. Your decisions there shape the map, change the story, and shift how people treat you. It's a branch-heavy RPG that's all about cause and effect.
During my time as a chorus prisoner, I heard
Combat is real-time with pause, similar to Pillars of Eternity since it's made by the same devs, Obsidian. It's got cool spell crafting where you build your own magic by mixing effects and shapes and triggers. It's super flexible, like you can make a spell that shocks people and slows them down, or one that heals allies in a circle. And the combat's tactical with positioning and timing, making a real difference, especially on harder difficulties. But honestly, the writing is where this game shines. Dialogue is sharp, and the world is loaded with lore that actually matters. Every faction, every character, even random documents you find, it all adds to this dark, fascinating world where power is everything. And your character, you can roleplay as cold and loyal, clever and manipulative, or someone trying to do a little good in a system that doesn't care.
As the final conquest draws near,
You lie, cheat, and steal, twisting everything around you for your bottomless ambition.
Wasteland 2, 2014. This game is pure old school chaos in the best way. Like, if you ever wondered what would happen if you threw a bunch of dusty, half-crazy rangers into a nuclear-blasted desert with barely any supplies and way too many choices? This is that. So you're part of the Desert Rangers, basically a ragtag group of post-apocalyptic cops trying to bring law and order to a world that's just done. Everything's gone to hell. You've got bandits, mutant animals, cults, shady settlements, broken tech, and like zero backup. It's gritty, it's ugly, and the game doesn't even pretend to be fair sometimes, and that's kind of the point. The real magic here is the freedom, and not just go anywhere freedom. I'm talking real decisions. Like, there's a mission early on where 2 places are calling for help, a town and a radio tower. You gotta pick one. The other, yeah, it's gone, and the game just moves on. No takebacks, no soft resets, no oh you did your best trophy. It's like, well, you chose, deal with it. It hits hard, but it makes everything feel real. In the combat, it's straight up tactical turn-based. You've got cover, line of sight, action points, all that good XCOM style stuff. You gotta think a few moves ahead, like where's your sniper going? Did you remember to reload? Is your explosives guy about to blow up half the team because you forgot friendly fire exists? It's that kind of wild. The team building is deep too. You don't just pick a class, you build a full squad from scratch. Want a medic who also picks locks? Sure. Want a shotgunner who's great at animal whispering so you can recruit a goat that headbutts people? That's in here, and yeah, the goat can fight. It's that kind of game. What's dope is how much the world reacts to what you do. Like, you unlock a door early on, and suddenly a town sees you as a tech genius, or you say the wrong thing in a conversation and boom, they all hate you. It doesn't feel scripted, it feels like the world's actually watching what you do. The writing has this mix of dark humor, sarcasm, and real tension. One second you're laughing at some weird cult, the next you're making a decision that could wipe out a whole group of people. It walks that line well. It's not trying to be edgy, it just lives in that messed up space where hope is rare and survival is everything. Visually, yeah, it's not fancy. It's isometric, gritty, functional, but it does the job, and the vibes, top tier. Radio static, desert winds, busted up bunkers, strange characters around every corner. It feels like Fallout 1 and 2's cousin who's been through some things. Shadowrun Dragonfall 2014. So picture this. It's the future, but also full-on fantasy. You got cyberpunk cities, neon lights, hacking, drones, and you got elves, trolls, orcs, and freaking magic. That's the Shadowrun world in a nutshell. It sounds insane on paper, but the game makes it work in a way that feels super grounded and real. You play as a runner, kind of like a mercenary for hire, dropped into Berlin where things go sideways fast. You join this tight crew of outlaws, each one with their own vibe and backstory, and before you know it, you're in the middle of a conspiracy that involves ancient dragons, shady corpse, and way too many secrets. The real charm? The writing. It's some of the best in any isometric RPG. Every character, every mission, every bit of lore, it's written with care. It doesn't talk down to you, but it also doesn't drown you in walls of text. You care about your squad, you want to help them, or mess with them, or just chill and talk in between runs. Combat's turn-based and it's short. You move on a grid, use cover, manage action points, guns, swords, spells, hacking. Whatever your build is, it feels good, and the game gives you real flexibility. Want a decker who hacks enemy turrets? Go for it. Prefer a shaman who summons spirits mid-fight? Totally doable. You can build weird, cool combos and make them work. And then there's the choices, not fake ones, real ones. You decide how to handle missions, who lives, who dies, what risks to take. Sometimes it's about loyalty, sometimes it's survival, and the consequences stick. It's not always obvious either. You can make a choice early that comes back hours later in a way that makes you go, oh damn. It's not a huge bloated game either. It's focused, no filler, no open world fluff, just tight handcrafted missions that move the story forward, each one building on the last. And the setting, Berlin, feels alive. Gritty, dirty, full of broken tech and broken dreams, but also weirdly hopeful in some moments. Graphics are solid, it's isometric, clean art style, lots of neon and shadow, gives off that gritty cyberpunk vibe without trying too hard. And the music? Total banger. That low, synth-heavy background score just pulls you into the world. Shadowrun Dragonfall is one of those games that knows exactly what it wants to be. No fluff, no nonsense, just tight storytelling, cool turn-based gameplay, and a world that's totally its own. If you've never played it and you're into smart, choice-driven RPGs with style and heart, this one's absolutely a must-play, no question. Shadowrun Returns 2013. Alright, Shadowrun Returns. This is the one that started the whole revival of the Shadowrun games, and it came out swinging. It brought back that mix of gritty cyberpunk and old school fantasy that nobody else was really doing. Like, you've got hackers and drones and automatic rifles right next to shamans, elves, trolls, and spells. Somehow, it all clicks. It's weird, but in a good way. You're dropped into a world that feels broken but lived in. The streets are wet, the neon's flickering, game, and people don't trust anyone, not even their friends. You play as a Shadowrunner, basically a gun for hire doing sketchy jobs in the underbelly of a city that barely functions. The game kicks off with a dead man's message calling you back for one last job, and from there things spiral into a gritty detective mystery full of murder, corruption, and dark secrets. The storytelling is tight, everything's written with care, no bloated cutscenes or try-hard dialogue. It's more like a great tabletop session with a good DM. Sharp writing, cool characters, and meaningful decisions that shape how things go. Conversations actually matter. The vibe is noir through and through. Shady alleys, strange clients, tense choices. Gameplay-wise, you're getting classic turn-based tactical combat, you've got a grid, action points, cover systems, all simple, all clean. It doesn't go super deep like some heavier strategy games, but what's here works really well, and the way it blends tech and magic into combat adds a cool twist. You might hack a terminal mid-fight to disable a turret, or summon a spirit to hold off enemies while your shotgun guy flanks them. Character creation's solid too. You've got all the classic classes: street samurai, decker, mage, shaman, rigger, and so on, and you can mix and match skills to build your own style. Want to be a pistol expert who can also hack? Go ahead. A troll with a minigun and healing spells? Totally valid. The game lets you mess around with builds and get creative. It's not a super long game and the structure's pretty linear, but that actually works in its favor. Every mission moves the story forward. No filler, no side quests just for the sake of padding. Just a solid, focused experience from start to finish. For a game that was basically a comeback for the Shadowrun name, Returns nailed it. It showed that there's still room for smart, story-first RPGs with cool settings and turn-based strategy. It might not be the deepest in the series, but it laid the foundation and it still holds up as a must-play if you're into isometric games with heart and style. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2001. Man, this one's got a totally different flavor from the usual Baldur's Gate games. Like, if you were expecting deep party management and tons of dialogue choices, nah, forget that. This one's more of a hack and slash action RPG, and honestly, it rocks in its own lane. It dropped on consoles back in 2001 and felt kinda like Diablo, but smoother, flashier, and built just right for a controller. You're not micromanaging a team, you're picking a hero and diving into dungeons, smashing through goblins, skeletons, and all kinds of nasty stuff, picking up loot, leveling up, and just going. Simple, satisfying, and super addicting. What really made it stand out at the time? The graphics. For 2001, it looked nuts. The lighting, the water effects, the spell animations, everything had this clean, polished feel, and it just felt good to play. Swinging a sword, firing a bow, casting a fire spell, it all had weight and impact. It wasn't deep, but it was super tight in terms of gameplay. You had 3 characters to pick from: a warrior, an archer, and a sorceress, each with their own skill trees and playstyles. And even though it was more action than classic RPG, it still kept that Dungeons and Dragons flavor. The world, the enemies, the gear, it all felt like it was ripped straight from a campaign. Even the dialogue and voice acting had that classic fantasy tone. It's not the deepest RPG ever, and sure, it's more linear than something like Baldur's Gate 2, but it's not trying to be that. It's here to give you fast, fun, dungeon crawling action, and it absolutely delivers. Even today, if you're down for something chill but action-packed, it still plays well. Especially if you get a buddy to join you. Just fire it up, smash some monsters, grab some loot, and repeat. Sometimes, that's all you need. Freedom Force 2002. Now this one's just straight up fun. It's like jumping into a cheesy old school comic book with over-the-top heroes, bright colors, and that full-on Saturday morning cartoon energy, but with some really smart tactical gameplay underneath all the camp. You're basically running your own squad of superheroes. Every character is wild, you've got guys throwing fire, shooting electricity, freezing stuff, flying around. It's all super flashy, super extra, and totally on purpose. Gameplay's real-time with pause, so you can slow things down and issue commands to your whole team. You're setting setting up ambushes, lining up powers, managing energy, and it gets surprisingly deep. Each mission is like a little sandbox. Sometimes you gotta protect civilians, stop a heist, take down a villain squad, or just blow up everything in sight. And your powers can interact with the environment too. Knock a guy into a car, boom, damage. Hit a water puddle with electricity, yeah, they're toast. What makes this game stand out though is the personality. Every hero talks like they stepped right off an old comic panel. Lines like, "Justice will be served," or "Have at the villain." It's super cheesy, but that's the whole point. The cutscenes even have comic book panels and voice acting that totally nails that retro feel. It doesn't take itself seriously, and that makes it a blast. You can also create your own heroes, which was wild back then. You pick their look, name, powers, stats, the whole deal. Want to make a dude who throws toilets and flies? Go for it. A villain who heals by punching people? Why not? The system is flexible and fun to mess with, and while the game's not the prettiest by today's standards, it's chunky and old school, it still holds up because of how much style it has. It's colorful, bold, and it commits to the bit all the way through. So yeah, Freedom Force is one of those forgotten gems that's packed with charm. It's tactical, creative, goofy in the best way, and still fun to play if you're into strategy games with big personality. Not many games let you build a team of weird superheroes and toss bad guys into buildings while yelling about justice. Totally worth checking out if you missed it back then. Warcraft 3: Reign of Chaos, 2002. Blizzard just nailed the mix of strategy, world building, and storytelling in a way that was rare back then here. You had 4 completely different races, each with their own units, buildings, and playstyles, and somehow they all felt balanced. That alone was a big deal. But the real game changer here was the hero system. Instead of just building a big army and throwing it at your enemy, you had these powerful, named characters that could level up, unlock new skills, and carry items. It gave the game this kind of RPG flavor on top of the usual RTS gameplay. It made you care about these units, like losing Arthas mid-fight actually mattered. The campaign was super strong too, not just some filler missions to get you to multiplayer. It had a full story split between humans, orcs, undead, and night elves. It wasn't just about battles either. They gave you actual character arcs, world events, betrayal, corruption, the whole package. Arthas's fall from a noble paladin to the Lich King is still one of the best story turns in gaming, no joke. Also, can't forget how massive the custom game scene was. People went crazy with the map editor. That thing gave us Dota, tower defense games, survival maps, all kinds of player-made modes that straight up started entire genres. If you weren't into competitive ladder matches, you could still spend hours just playing weird, fun, custom maps with friends.
The base of our former allies has unfrozen. Prepare to defend.
RollerCoaster Tycoon 2, 2002. So here's the deal. You're the boss of a theme park, right? You design the rides, lay out the paths, set prices for drinks, hire janitors, all that stuff. It sounds simple, but it's surprisingly deep. And the way it all clicks together, the rides, the money, the people's moods, it's like building a little machine and watching it run. The real magic comes when you start building your own coasters. You're not just placing down pre-made rides, you're designing loops, drops, underground tunnels, wild twists, and if you're not careful, the thing will fly off the track and explode. Literally. And yes, sometimes people would build death coasters on purpose, not judging. Even though the graphics are simple, there's something super cozy about the look. Bright colors, tiny people walking around, balloons floating, ducks swimming in the ponds. It's got this wholesome, clicky charm that just feels good, like opening a toy box. The sound design sticks too. The little ride jingles, guests cheering, the ka-ching when someone buys cotton candy. It's all these tiny bits that add up to a vibe that's hard to beat. It's not flashy, but it nails that nostalgic feel. And the scenarios, they gave you goals, like make a park worth X amount, or get 1,000 guests by year 3. It wasn't just sandbox stuff, there were actual challenges baked in, and when you beat one, that feeling hit different. What's cool is that RollerCoaster Tycoon 2 didn't try to reinvent the wheel, it just took what worked in the first game and made it better. Cleaner UI, more rides, better tools, more room to get creative. That's it. No bloat, just more of the good stuff. Bottom line, RollerCoaster Tycoon 2 is timeless. It's not trying to impress you with fancy graphics or explosions. It just hands you a park, gives you the tools, and says go build something awesome. And for a lot of people, that's all they ever needed. SimCity 4, 2003. Now this one's a straight up city building classic. No fluff, no gimmicks, just pure, detailed, old school simulation that'll either make you feel like a genius mayor or a total disaster artist. So here's the thing, SimCity 4 doesn't hold your hand. It expects you to plan ahead, balance the budget, and actually think like a real city planner. You gotta lay down power grids, water pipes, roads, zones for homes and businesses, and then manage stuff like taxes, traffic, pollution, and public services. It's not easy, but that's what made it so addicting. You're not just building a town, you're running a living machine. And when things go wrong, like crime spikes, traffic gets jammed, or your power plants start blowing out, the game doesn't baby you. It's like, yeah, you messed up, figure it out. That challenge? That's part of the fun. Scale was massive for its time too. You didn't just build one city, you built a whole region, connecting towns with highways and rail lines. You could make one area a suburban zone, another a dirty industrial town, and link it all together. It felt big and real in a way not many city builders have matched since. And visually, for 2003, this game looked clean. Zoom all the way in, and you'd see cars moving, people walking, buildings shifting over time. But zoom out, and you've got this huge city skyline that you created from scratch. It just felt satisfying watching your little blocks turn into a living, breathing city. So yeah, SimCity 4 isn't flashy, it's not casual, but if you're the type who loves to tinker, plan, and watch a world grow block by block, there's really nothing like it. Still one of the best city builders ever made, period. It just hits different.